What is going on, guys? Brandon here. We have your Tuesday, January 30th, 2023 market update. Let's go through these. I might add the VIX, the volatility index, to this potentially. However, I really think that the biggest thing that we need to focus on really every day is the credit markets. This is why we start with this every day. The United States government bond 10-year yield, as we can see here. And this is something we talk about all the time. This is the tail that wags the dog, or the dog that wags the tail. Sorry, this is the dog that really is the crux, right? The tail is equities, and that's what kind of gets whipped around. And CNBC, all these people love talking about that, right? This is where so many people have stuff, whether it's young people or old people, all wrapped up in equities and Robinhood trading and things like that. And that's not where the smart money goes. That's not where the big money goes. It does, obviously, but not to the degree that they are in the bond market. And the bond market is, government, giving the government cash, and so they can do what they do. Which, separate video for a different day. But the bond market in general is really, if people want to give the bonds to the government or give cash to the government, that's fine. And they get a bond in return. That's fine. However, I think it's kind of an electrical socket plugged into itself type of thing in a way. The government doesn't go get a return on the cash. At the end of the day, unless I'm missing something, what is the government going and doing? Are they starting a new chip business? Are they starting a new Apple to compete against Apple? Like, what are you giving the government cash to go do at the end of the day? You are giving them cash to go promise to tax other people to pay you back your cash, go print more currency to pay you back your cash to cheaper dollars. The whole bond market, I just kind of had an epiphany the other day. I was just thinking about it in general. Like, I just don't generally think about the bond market too much because it's an antiquated system, quite honestly. It's the fiat system, and it's just hilarious, theater to me at the end of the day. And I just was thinking about it. It's like, man, it's the electrical outlet plugged into it. It's the electrical strip plugged into itself. Anyway, I'm going to make a different video on that, talking about that, because I think it's fascinating. But the 10-year, since we still live in the fiat system a little bit, at least to a degree, the United States 10-year is at 3.5. So it's ticked up just a tad. But again, we've seen over the last couple months, again, the yields come down. We've seen bonds get bought up, meaning the yields are coming down because they're inverse, right? So at the end of the day, that meaning if you can go, the reason bonds sell off and the rate goes up is because if the rate goes up, I can go get a new bond with a higher coupon rate on a higher return. If I just go right to the Treasury instead of the existing market, I'm going to pay less. Why would I take a lower return with an existing bond if I can just go to the government and get a new one with a higher coupon, a higher yield? So that's why the existing bond market sells off. That's why they're inverted at the end of the day, and vice versa. If the bond yields are dropping, that means that they are getting bought up. The existing bonds with higher yields are getting bought up, meaning the price is getting driven up, and the yields are coming down. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, about 3.5, we've seen this really steady decline here in the last 2 months, hence why we have seen the DXY 102 as well. We can see a really stark difference here in the DXY. And a lot of this, what was happening this last year, and I was just talking to a bunch of people and explaining, people are asking about the DXY and what that means. The reason that this was happening right here, this huge run-up, is because you had, again, like we just showed here, everything starts in the bond market. So we have the 10-year. If you see the yields are going up like this, that means all the yields around the world, everyone's dollar-denominated debts, whether it's in the U.S., Sri Lanka, all these countries that are collapsing all around the world, everyone around the world has their bond yields. They are, all their interest rates, everything are going up. So they have to service those debts with more and more cash. So they're trying to raise cash now. They're thinking, where do I get this cash? So they have to sell off assets. Again, this is why we saw, let's see, just the assets in general. Give me 1 second. Indexes. So again, this is why we see this crash over the last year here. This is why we see these big drop-offs. These people are selling out of these assets, right? They're selling these assets, raising cash. Same thing with Bitcoin. So you see the sell-off here, the index, Apple, Bitcoin. We see these huge sell-offs over the last year because they're selling and trying to raise cash. That way they can then service those higher debts because, again, here we have the 10-year, the higher and higher interest rates on their debts. So that's why you have all these equities. Like we say, that's just the tail. All these equities, all these risk-on assets, all sold off because people are trying to raise cash to pay these higher interest rates, and the 10-year shows us that, right? So hopefully that made sense. That's why those things happen. That's why that dynamic happened. And at the end of the day, this is why the DXY was strengthening, because everyone's selling on these assets trying to find cash. Cash is getting more and more valuable, and people are trying to find more and more cash. They're raising cash, so they're getting into this cash position, right? Things are going from asset to cash, meaning the cash is getting more and more valuable as people are trying to find more dollars to pay off all of their dollar-denominated debts. Again, here, as you can see in the 10-year. So they're trying to pay off these higher and higher interest rates. So that is the story on the bond market. Really over the last couple of months. Again, not making any crazy moves right now. We're waiting for the FOMC to make their decision, whether it's going to be 25 basis point hike, 50 basis points, whatever it's going to be. It's really all a clown show at the end of the day. So this is why we get prepared, get resilient. This is why we buy Bitcoin, gold, silver, security, firearms, ammo, water. This is why we get independent, resilient of the system. We don't care what happens at the end of the day. And they force everyone to be traders. They force everyone in the stock market thinking they need to trade, thinking they need to buy Carnival Cruise Line stock, and thinking they need to do this and that. Again, newsflash: people don't go just jump into the NHL this weekend. Like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to become an amateur hockey player, and I'm going to jump into the NHL this weekend and play a couple games. Yet that's what the average person is doing in the stock market, or jumping in on the Robinhood app. It's absolute clown world. You don't jump into these things. That's why the average person, that's why vast majority, 99% of people get wrecked doing whatever they're doing. This is why I advocate for a new parallel monetary system, which is the Bitcoin standard. It's not really capitalism anymore. It's just completely merit-based, free market, hyper-Bitcoinization. It's the purest form of capitalism. It's the best form of all things, really. Honestly, it's the best of all these systems put together. That's the beauty of it, because it aligns incentives. That's what Bitcoin does at the end of the day. It puts everyone on equal playing field. There's no, it's just merit-based. There's no, the sucking up to the system. There's no brown nosing. There's none of that. There is just incentives and just a control experiment. It's just math at the end of the day. That's it. That's what we want. We want a fair playing field, not equal outcomes. We want a fair playing field, an equal playing field. And I think, honestly, there's a lot of people, especially in academia, there's a lot of people on Wall Street, there's a lot of people in the global, alphabet soup agencies that are very scared of hyper-Bitcoinization because, one, it takes their power away, but number two, it takes their rent-seeking and grifting, it takes it all away. They don't know how they'll operate in a new system, in a system that's based on merit, in a system that's based on just intelligence, emotional intelligence, and physical raw intelligence, physical power. They have no idea. They don't know how they'll exist in that world, because all they know is a world of grifting and printing currency, buying their own assets, and pumping their assets up, and then giving themselves golden parachutes. That's really 90 to 99% of Wall Street, the Hamptons. That's it. That's the WEF. All these people, they're just grifters at the end of the day, putting people to war, sending other families, children to war, and paying themselves off. Oh, I'm on the board of Raytheon. Oh, weird, Raytheon stock just 5x. That goes away with Bitcoin. That's why I'm a proponent of a different system, a new system that's already here. It's already built, and it just keeps accruing power and network hash every day. The Lightning Network layer 2 keeps breaking all-time highs, so both layers keep breaking all-time highs, and people keep thinking, oh, why isn't, what if an asteroid hits the Earth and knocks the internet out? Well, then your Chase app is gone as well. Your fiat legacy system is gone as well. So why aren't we questioning the old system? And I think the reason is because most people just grew up with it and they just don't question it. Like, yeah, you know what? All my cash on taxes went to Ukraine, whatever. So, they don't even ask why they're getting taxed. They don't even know why. So remove yourself from the system. Oil is still about the same. Gold and silver is still, hovering around the same. And, again, Bitcoin's hanging about 23,000. So, here we have, let's check out Bitcoin as well here. We have the crypto side, we have Bitcoin telling us what's happening, and not crypto. Crypto's not telling us anything. Bitcoin is telling us what's happening. That's why you have a little bit of a move up, things like that. And then again, we have Bitcoin clearly running. You can see it running here. We see it working, and people continually don't see what's happening outside of their own little ecosystem. They continually don't question why. They don't not questioning what's going on. And it's kind of like the frog or the fish. Does he know he's wet if he grew up in the water his whole life? Does he even know he's wet? And people just, again, 110 years of the Federal Reserve, they don't even know anything other than the fiat system. So they don't ask anything. They don't question. They just take it as is. And you know what? They're just going to tax me, I guess. They're just going to send my cash over to, whatever, gender study, gender reassignment in a prison, or they're just going to do, all these ridiculous things with it. They're going to send it to cow fart of, studies and cow burp studies, and they're sending it to Ukraine, send it to Afghanistan for 20-year war. We got to pass the Patriot Act. It's all sides of the aisle. It doesn't matter what it is. We're going to bail out, 10% for the big guy. We're going to fund Obama's buddies. We're going to fund the oil industry with the Bushes and Cheneys. We're just like, it's every presidency, it's every single person involved in this deep state. So we have this system. Look at the metrics of the system. The dashboard's right here, guys. The entire thing is right here. So get outside the system. The big thing is, hey, Bitcoin's running. We're good. We're fine. It's going to continue to run. And at the end of the day, we're waiting for this meeting tomorrow. Again, think of the absurdity. We're waiting for this meeting tomorrow with a bunch of yahoos telling us what the interest rates are going to be, telling us where the goalposts are going to move next. And yet we have Bitcoin here with a predetermined schedule for the next 100 plus years, 120 years, exactly what it's going to be. We know exactly what the inflation rate is. We know exactly what it's going to be. And it says it all right here. Look at this. You can go up and down the list and see exactly what it is, exactly what's going on, all up and down the metrics, the scale of exactly what's going to happen. No questioning. No questioning. So remember, at the end of the day, we have the debt is out of control. It's only going one way, $31.5 trillion, and only going up from here. We know Bitcoin will keep destroying and devouring everything. It's the apex predator. This is the dollar in Bitcoin. Getting destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. Gone. The dollar's lost 99% of its purchasing power the last 110 years, and it will lose another 99% over the last decade or two, or no, over the next couple decades. So what kind of asset do you want your children to hold? Dollars that are getting destroyed, or Bitcoin that continually is deflated and increases in value as it becomes more and more rare and buys you more and more things? I show the Bitcoin and eggs. I'm trying to dunk on Bitcoin. This is your life on the dollar, getting more and more expensive. This is your life on Bitcoin over the last 7 years, getting cheaper and cheaper. You can buy whole farms at this point. So it's up to us. It's what kind of system do we want? What kind of future do we want? What do we want for our children? What do we want for our grandchildren? Do we want to truly even exist at the end of the day? Or do we want this continued escalation of wars and unrest all over the place? It's up to us at the end of the day. We are the ones that can change that. People, well, the government's not going to let us do that. Is that really how you live your life? Is that how you live your life? You let the government, they're going to do this, or they're going to do that. That's how you live your life. I didn't know we were born to live for the government. I think the government was born to live for us. I think we've had it all wrong. That's what the Constitution, that's what the Declaration of Independence, that's what those documents signified. It was the first time in human history, truly, that said, no, government. We tell you what to do. You don't tell us what to do. The king, the queen, the aristocracy, monarchy, you don't tell us what to do. We tell you what to do. And with that, I hope you have an amazing day. I appreciate you being with us. Your time, your energy is the most important asset we have. Bitcoin is time, and time is Bitcoin. This is not financial advice. It's freedom advice. Please like and subscribe to the blog. Please share it with someone you think might need to see this. I look forward to seeing you on the next one.